Hey, what is up, guys? It is the Divine Card Player, and today I will be having another deck profile for you guys. So today, for today's deck profile, I will be doing the UA deck. The UA deck, or in other words, Ultra Athlete. The Ultra Athlete deck, I don't see it being used much, but it does have a lot of potential just to negate special summons. You could even get some OTKs and do a lot of damage in this at the same time. So yeah, if you guys want to see more of this, hit that like button and comment down below what deck you would like to see next. I'll try to build it, see if I can. I'm trying to build more decks just for you guys. And yeah, let's see how this is, and let's just jump right into it. So to start, we're gonna go by level, and to start off, we're gonna start off with 3 copies of UA Midfielder. Now, UA Midfielder is your only level 4 monster. He's pretty much the only monster you can normal summon, and he's just used for the start of your combos and your OTKs, and his special ability isn't really that necessary, but he's still good. Like, he's the only level 4 monster that you can normal summon in to bust out your special summons. Now the next card is we're gonna want to have 2 copies of UA Perfect Ace. He's one of the level 5 monsters, and his ability is unique because it negates and destroys your opponent's effects. So it's like a trap counter or something like that. But the only downside is that you can only use it during your opponent's turn, I believe. Yeah, once per turn during your opponent's turn. Yeah, so you can only use it once per turn during your opponent's turn, but it's still pretty good. Like, say they bust out a Raigeki to destroy your board, you could just, use its ability, discard 1 card, and destroy that Raigeki and negate it. So that's good about that card as well. Now the next card is we're going to want to have 2 copies of UA Mighty Slugger. Now what Mighty Slugger does is he's basically a Deskbot 9. If you guys don't remember my Deskbot profile, he attacks and your opponent cannot activate any effects during the damage step. So that's pretty good because if he's like really boosted up with attack points, you could attack your opponent and they can't activate Mirror Force or anything. So that's good for that card. Moving on to UA Rivalry Bounder, we're gonna have 3 copies of him, and for him, his ability isn't really negating or destroying anything. His ability is just to bring back your UA monsters. So, say you have a Mighty Slugger in your graveyard, you can tribute to summon UA Rivalry Bounder, and it instantly summons your UA midfielder, or not your UA midfielder, your UA Slugger once he's summoned this way. I believe so, right? It's if this card is special summoned during your opponent's turn or normal summon. So normal summon is basically during your turn as well, I believe, because you can't normal summon during your opponent's turn. You can special summon when you a monster from your hand or graveyard, except UA Rivalry Bounder. You can only use Rivalry Bounder's turn. Yeah. So yeah, you can basically just revive any UA monster that was sent to the graveyard. Moving on, we're gonna have 2 copies of UA Goalkeeper. Goalkeeper is just there to defend pretty much your whole board. So he's used to prevent your monsters from being destroyed, but you can only choose one. That's the downside. But like, excuse me, but you can choose, like, say Rivalry Bounder. You don't want him to get destroyed. Target that card and it won't be destroyed. So if your opponent were to activate a Dark Hole or Raigeki, you can choose one of them, like one of your monsters, and it won't be destroyed that turn, but the rest will. But if you want to keep one safe, then you can use this one. For our next card, we're going to have 3 copies of UA Blockbacker. Blockbacker is a monster that I suggest you special summon first before any of them, because he pretty much just negates special summons your opponent wants to do. So if they, such as Pendulum decks, it counts as one summon, one whole summon. So it says, let me get the card real quick. It says, you can special summon, okay, once per turn, when your opponent special summons a monster, you can change the battle position, and if you do, negate their effects. So if monster or monsters, it has the apostrophe S apostrophe parentheses, the S in parentheses. So yeah, so say you were to pendulum summon a whole board, you can activate his ability, change them all to defense, and they get their abilities. So that's good too. And for our next card, we're gonna have 2 copies of UA Dreadnought Dunker. Dreadnought Dunker is actually a quite unique card because if you were to attack a defense position monster, he inflicts piercing battle damage. Not only that, but if you do, you get to destroy 1 card on your opponent's field. So I suggest you special summon this card next after UA Blockbacker, or you could summon this one first and then this one. It's up to you guys, but it depends on what your opponent, on what turn you start, and what your opponent has on their field. And for our last monster, we're going to have one copy of UA Playmaker. Playmaker is just there to boost your monster's attack points by 800, I believe. Yeah, 800 attack, and it takes away from this card. And it's not a once per turn thing, so if you have like 3 cards, you can keep activating it and just OTK your opponent with this. So this could be used for mainly OTKs. And that's it for the monsters. Let's move on to the spells. Okay, so moving on with the spells. For our spells, we have a lot of spells in this deck, but it's not to say that it'll interfere with the drawing of the monsters or anything. No, like the spells will actually help you get the monsters if you just drop your spells. So that's the good thing. So to start off, we're going to have 3 copies of UA Stadium. UA Stadium has 2 abilities. One of them is if you normal summon, say, UA midfielder, because he's pretty much the only one you want to normal summon, and also Rival Rebounder. But if you normal summon him, you get to add 1 UA card from your deck to your hand. Right? I think it's UA card. If you can add 1 UA monster from your deck. So yeah, it's just a monster, not a card. You have to add a UA monster, so that's pretty good too. So if you only have midfielder in your hand, you could bring out, say, Blockbacker or Dreadnought Dunker. Now for our next spell, we're gonna have 3 copies of Terraforming. You can run this at 2, but I suggest 3 because it keeps up the consistency of UA Stadium being drawn in your hand. So yeah, everyone knows what this does. Just add a field spell to your hand. And for our next card, we're going to run 2 copies of UA Signing Dio. This pretty much just special summons a UA monster from your deck to the field, and you take damage equal to its level times 300. So if I don't have, say, a single UA monster, I get to special summon a UA midfielder, or if I only have a level 6 UA monster, UA midfielder, return them special summon. So yeah, that's pretty good, and you don't take that much damage from it. So that's good. Our next card, we're going to have 2 copies of UA Turnover Tactics. So this card is actually pretty good if you know how to use it right. So say during your turn, you were to summon a monster and your opponent activates, Torrential Tribute. You get to return all the monsters on your field to your hand, or to the deck, shuffle them into the deck, and special summon the same amount of monsters with different names. So that way they won't be destroyed, or I don't think they would. I'm gotta be completely honest. I don't think they would because they weren't. Those monsters weren't on the field when Torrential Tribute was activated. So yeah, you can just return them to the deck and summon new ones, and then there you're good. And your opponent also has to do the same thing. So if they don't have any cards on their that have different names, so they're screwed. So yeah, that's why this is a good card. For our next card, this card is actually pushes for OTKs too. Now we're gonna run 2 copies of UA Power Jersey. You could run it at 3 as well, but I suggest 2. Now what Power Jersey does is it boosts your monster's attack by 1,000, and your opponent, you get to attack again. So say you have, let's see, Dreadnought Dunker on the field. Like Dreadnought Dunker and his attack points get boosted by this and this. So he inflicts piercing battle damage to your opponent for a defense position monster. So you attack one, and then if you inflict damage, you get to destroy another monster, and you get to attack again. So you attack, damage, and then you destroy another card. So it's basically clearing the whole board if you activate UA Power Jersey and then equip it to Dreadnought Dunker. And basically what it does is your monster gets banished your next standby phase. But if you can pull this off right, you could easily LTK your opponent. Alright, for our next card, we're going to run 2 Forbidden Lance spells. This card was kind of debatable between this and Forbidden Chalice, but I prefer Forbidden Lance because most of the time, people won't be able to target your opponents or your cards, considering you have Slugger, Dreadnought Dunker, Blockbacker, and Goalkeeper. So I just ran this one instead. You could run Chalice too as well. Forbidden Chalice. Either one is fine. But I just run 2. You could run it at 3 as well. I don't think you can. But whatever. I suggest 2. And now for our last spells, we're going to run 3 or 1 of each. 1 double summon, 1 reinforcement of the army, 1 Monarch Stoneforge. Double summon allows you to normal summon twice. So you could have like say 1 UA midfielder and let's see, Rebounder and Dunker. Okay, so you could have these cards in your hand, summon, then you could activate double summon to special or to normal summon again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. His level 6, so it just requires one monster. Bring him back to the field and then return him to the hand to summon Dreadnought Dunker. So that's one of the props of having double summon. You can also run 2. And Reinforcement in the Army, you can activate this to add one midfielder to your hand. And Monarch Stormforth, if you want to say summon a Rivalry Bounder and you don't have any material, so you got your opponent for that. And this card is mainly just used to screw over with people and summon another monster. So yeah, and that does it for the spells. Let's move on to the traps. Now for our traps, we don't run much. We just run 2 traps. That's it. 2 UA penalty boxes. You don't really need traps, but these traps are really good because if your opponent were to attack, if you were to only have UA midfielder and your opponent were to attack it, activate it, it banishes your opponent's attacking monster until their second end phase. Yeah, so that's pretty good for the traps. It's not that much. It's not much at all actually, but it still helps a lot with your deck. So now onto the side deck. Our side deck isn't too special, but it will help. So if you guys wanted to run a side deck, I suggest having 2 effect veilers in there, because sometimes your opponent will have to activate effects from their hand, field, something. You can easily discard one effect veiler and negate that ability to the end of the turn, and you also have Blockbacker to help you out with that. So there's that. 2 Ojama Trios, yeah, that'll be a second trap if you guys wanted to run more traps. Ojama Trio just helps for pushes, say it's like Blockbacker, so your opponent won't be able to special summon as much monsters as they expect, especially because your opponent can't tribute Ojama Trio tokens. So that's another up to it. And for a spell, Swords of Revealing Light, if you want to stall and you just want to wait till you draw the right cards, you can easily activate that. And for our last monster, another UA Playmaker, just to, you know, push for OTKs and all that. And yeah, that does it for the side deck. You don't need much cards in your side deck. Now let's move on to our extra deck. You don't really need an extra deck in this deck. If you want to have one, I guess you could just have these cards. It's not much because you don't need any link monsters because you hardly want to summon a monster from your extra deck. But if you just want to, you know, screw with your opponent or something, whatever, by all means, go for it. 1 Heroic Champion, Excalibur, you know, just for OTKs again. Well, not really OTKs because most you could do is like 4, or most you can have is like 4,000 attack points. 1 Utopia and Utopia Ray, if you're down on life points and you want to, you know, stall again. And Volcasaurus. So that's pretty much it. And if you want to run another Xyz monster, I guess you can run Zubaba General, not really necessary. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you guys want to see more of this, please tell me in the comments below. Like this video, tell me what deck you will want to see next. I'll try building it for you guys. And yeah, let's see if we can do another unboxing like we did the other time. Hopefully we could get an Ash next time. But yeah, guys, again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.